Hello and welcome to this tutorial about the two samples t-test using JASP. So the screen you can see here is once again the example file, which is about diamonds. The actual assignment is to do a two samples t-test, so something similar to what I'm doing here using the park type data, which is a different JASP file. So let's just start with, again, getting rid of what's already there. So we can start from scratch. So if you look at the data, you have a whole bunch of information about diamonds. I'm not going to go over what all of that information means, but essentially we're interested in the shape variable, which is categorical with two levels. There's basically two shapes of diamonds which are considered here. BR diamonds, which are brilliant cut diamonds, and PR diamonds, which are princess cut diamonds. And we're interested in whether there's a difference in the price per carat for those two different types of diamonds. So for those two different groups. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a two sample t-test a little bit later, but first we want to look at the descriptives for those two groups. So the way we can do this in JASP is to take the quantitative variable, the outcome variable, put it here, and then split the data by shape. So what you can basically then see in this table here is that we have 581 BR diamonds, 283 PR diamonds, and we also see the mean and the standard deviation and the minimum and the maximum for those diamonds. So sort of the descriptive statistics for each of those separate groups. And so that's kind of quantitatively what we can do there. The other thing we can look at is a chart that gives us sort of a visual of how the price per carat is different in those two groups. So we can see from the mean that on a per carat basis, these BR diamonds are much more expensive, almost $6,000 per carat, versus the princess cut diamonds, which are a little bit more than $4,000 per carat. So we can look at this by basically going to we can get graphs for that by basically doing a side-by-side box plot. And so you go to customizable plots for that, and then you can simply select box plot, and it already gives you what you want. So again, you can use ggplot or another color palette for that, which kind of gives you colorful box plots instead of just gray ones. But what we can see is that it looks like, from just comparing these two box plots, that these BR diamonds are once again more expensive. There's a whole bunch of outliers that are very expensive. But we want to figure out whether that difference is actually significant. And in order to do that, we have to do a two sample t-test. So if you go to t-tests and go to independent samples t-test, then we basically want to, again, use price per carat as our dependent variable, and as our grouping variable, we want to do shape. So what that basically then gives you is this table here. If you use the student test, which is over here, it assumes equal variances or equal standard deviations, which isn't actually the case for this data set. And in general, in this class, we want to actually use the Welch test, which doesn't assume equal variances or standard deviations for both groups. But anyways, we did the test, right? We got our test statistic. Don't worry about the degrees of freedom. And we see that the significance, the difference is significant. So that is what we basically want to do in this sort of two sample situation. We're using a two-sided alternative. And then we can also look at the location parameter and the confidence interval. So this is similar to what we had for the regular t-test. So this is the mean difference tells us that on average, the BR diamonds are per carat approximately $1,600 more expensive. So that's substantial. You can also see that that's significant from seeing that both endpoints of the confidence interval are positive. So we can do that, and then we can also look at the descriptives for those two groups. Okay, so that is what we've already seen before when we did the descriptive statistics here. That's just a confirmation of that. So these are the sample sizes, the means, and the standard deviations for those two groups. So we can do that, and then we also want to look at a descriptive plot for this in this scenario. And that would basically look like this, okay? So basically what we can see is for this first chart here, this dot here gives me the mean, the $6,000 per carat, and the error bars give me basically what I get if I add and subtract the margin of error using a 95% confidence interval. So we basically can do this descriptive plot in addition to the side-by-side box plot that we already have. And what this descriptive plot basically tells us is that the difference certainly is significant because not only are the two means different, but also if I throw in sort of the margin of error, then there's really no overlap between these two error bars. So this is kind of what we do as sort of standard procedure for our two-sample t-test. Again, the assignment is to do similar steps for the park data. And once you did that for the park data, you want to export your results and then submit those for credit. So that's basically export these again as a PDF for credit, and then you would be done with this assignment. So I hope that made sense. Let me know if you have questions, and good luck with this assignment.